Hello, world. Welcome to the 168th Climate Change Emergency Protest here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It is February 25th, 2022. Next week will be March 4th, 2022, and that'll be number 169. So we got war in the Ukraine, Russia versus Ukraine, and, this is absolutely ridiculous. The United States is participating in their own little games, and as is the European Union, and they're totally ignoring the issue of climate change. And this will put it off for another month, 2 months, or even a year or more. This is the insanity of leaders failing to recognize the severity of the problem going on. This is the insanity of the world in general and the population going along with this and not standing up and saying, no, this is absolute insanity, what's going on. We're in the middle of a climate change catastrophe. We're an extinction level event. No war can do that level. The climate change will do that to us. It will extinct us all. We're in an existential threat, as Biden said when he was campaigning 2-3 years ago. And now here we are engaged in the middle of a war, ignoring the existential threat. So what the hell? Anyways, so I'm really pissed about it. And, this is absolutely crazy. I don't know why the world's population isn't standing up all over the world and saying, no, no war, no nothing. And that's the Russian people. That's the American people. That's the European Union. It's the Africans. It's the Asians. It's everybody. This is ridiculous what's going on. Guterres, the UN Secretary General last August, had a report come out with the IPCC saying it's code red for humanity, extinction level event. Now another report's coming out on the 28th of February, and conveniently we have another war that, that everyone will just ignore what's going on with this report. It happened last August when the report came out, and now it's happening again with this stupid-ass war. And, the next report coming out is going to be even worse, saying how horrible things are going to get. So, what happens with this report that is coming out is actually watered down, too. It's not as severe. It won't be reporting as severe as the actual situation that's happening. The IPCC loves to do that, and they don't report the full extent as to what's going on. And when this report comes out, it'll be largely ignored because we're in the middle of a war and everyone knows about Ukraine. So what happens with the report, too? It requires government approval. So, you get the lowest common denominator for the report coming out. It's ridiculous what happens with that as well. It's not the actual facts as to what's happening in the actual models, and they don't talk to real scientists as to what's going to happen. These are the things that are going to happen coming up. It's going to be the summer of fires coming up, 2022. USA and Russia are going to have massive fires going on. The USA is almost in total drought all around. You look at the USA Drought Monitor, go on there and check it out. You got an El Nino event coming out where the oceans are going to vent off heat. You got the sunspots starting up, and it'll reach its peak in 2025, meaning the sun is actually brightening now, which is what we don't want. You have the Thwaites Glacier, which is starting to crack apart, and I think within 1 to 5 years it's going to totally crack, which will create another 4 feet of sea level rise. Who knows when that's going to happen exactly. You got volcanoes in Antarctica, which are going to react because there's less weight in Antarctica on top of the volcanoes. There's 136 there. You don't even need them to erupt. You just need them to warm up to cause massive melting. No one talks about that. You have Greenland ice melting. You have the Himalayas, the Alps, and the Andes in South America, southern South America, that are melting like crazy. The glaciers are. And the Arctic region, you have permafrost that's melting. It's several hundred feet thick. The permafrost is, with massive amounts of methane and carbon dioxide in it. You can't have structures on top of permafrost because the structures will collapse, pipelines will collapse, houses will collapse, airports will collapse, ports of call will be in jeopardy. You have a blue ocean event risk in the Arctic Ocean, which is severe heating once that goes away, as well as the methane and carbon dioxide escaping into the environment. You have drinking water that is becoming more of a scarcity. You're going to have massive wars and skirmishes over that because people can't get drinking water. You have a heating oceans where the oceans have absorbed 90% of the heat of all the heat we're putting into the environment. They absorb 90%. You have acidification of the oceans at 8.1 pH. It's dropping severely. You have coral reefs that are functionally extinct due to heat and acid in the oceans. They're going to go extinct before 2030, which has 1/4 of all sea life. You have 7 atomic bombs per second in heat being put into the oceans, equivalency. You also have more than 400 dead zones as of 2011 in the oceans that are just dead zones. You have aerosol masking effect, pollution in the air, which kills 10 million people per year. but is also keeping the temperatures down by 0.5 degree Celsius. You have hydrogen sulfide that runs the risk of erupting due to rotting sea life and dead zones in the ocean. You have, which is lethal to mammals and sea life. You have oceans with less oxygen to be held in there because the oceans are heating up. A hotter ocean allows for, or does not allow for, gases to be kept in it. They vent off to the atmosphere, as does CO2. So you got a whole situation developing. You have plate tectonic shift risk with the glaciers melting, and they're no longer keeping the weight on the land, and you have land rebounding, and the glacier weight shifts to the oceans. You have transfer of that weight to the oceans from the glaciers. You have a risk of tectonic shifts, which creates volcanoes and earthquakes. So, let's stay in war. Let's just keep doing that. Let's keep doing stupid stuff. This is collective insanity, not only by the world's leaders, but also by everyone that's participating and allowing this to occur. You need politicians that are versed in climate change, know what's going on, and refuse to allow this to happen and continue on this way. This is absolute insanity. If you want to learn about climate change, go down this webpage, which is, you can go down and learn all about climate change on this Facebook page, as well as Environmental Coffee House on YouTube, and Paul Beckwith on YouTube. If you go into there, you'll become an expert with climate change. I recommend you start doing something immediately. I am pissed as all hell. I can't believe this is happening, but I do believe it, because we're on a suicide run, and those in charge that you keep voting for are going to kill us all. So keep it up, and we're going to all die. So there we go. I'll see you next week. That'll be March 4th, 2022, and that'll be number 169. Have at it, people.